Can I get a face bump? Face bump on camera? Hey. Hey. Face bump.
Oh,
She's the best.
do I get one too?
Oh, give Cristin a face bump, Delilah. Come on.
Can I get one?
There you go.
Thank you so much. Oh, I get the butt bump too. Excellent.
You got the butt bump. What's a butt bump, dude? What does that mean?
They kind of like show you their butts. Is that for her?
That was for
so
me.
nice of you.
Yeah, that was actually for me, but I guess she's thirsty, and I kiss her like on the lips. Like me and Delilah, we have a very like special relationship, so I don't mind her drinking out of my cup. So I'll get toxoplasmosis. What's the big deal? Look at that, it's so cute.
That was like the perfect setup.
She's the best. Well, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to talk to you. You are a cat behaviorist.
Cat behavior consultant.
A cat behavior consultant. Okay.
Essentially the same thing, but I'm not veterinary trained, so
that's
I like
fine.
to go with behavior consultant.
But this is what you do professionally. I mean, you consult with clients that have cats that have like behavior problems. You help train cats.
Yep.
You understand better than most cat psychology.
I like to think so, yes.
So that's why I wanted to talk to you. How did you get into that?
So I moved to the LA area, 7.5 years ago, and got involved with cat rescue because we have overpopulation issues and so forth here in Southern California. And I started fostering. I don't know why I thought I would be a good foster. I fell in love with all of them. And essentially I ended up with 6 cats. And
Wow.
I was like, I need to find a more sustainable way to keep cats out of the shelter aside from bringing them all into my house. So I ended up kind of stumbling across a feline behavior certification program online. So it was a year-long program that I took with classes on general animal behavior, feline training, nutrition, all that good stuff. And then I did some kind of like externship hours basically with a couple of the different rescue groups and some in-home clients. And here I am.
Here you are.
Somehow I still have 3 more cats than I did when I started. So
that's amazing.
But they're foster. So if anyone's looking for a cat, let me know. I got 3 really cute ones.
You're the girl. That's cool. I was looking for just interesting people that I could have on the podcast that I could talk to that were sort of outside of the realm of health and wellness. And I was like, I'd love for somebody to come over and analyze this wild animal over here.
Oh my gosh.
I wonder why she's so thirsty.
She's nervous.
Is she nervous? Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe she does this often. She's probably on camera often.
She does. It's so funny that my mom had 2 cats, and one of them in particular would preferentially like to drink water out of a glass on the table. Super, super strange. But yeah, I'm just happy that she's getting hydrated. I try to feed her like the healthiest cat food that I can find.
Okay.
Cats are obligate carnivores, right?
Indeed they are, yes.
What can you tell us about cat nutrition?
So obviously you just mentioned the most important part. They are obligate carnivores. There's vegan diets out there that people try for cats. I know dogs can technically do it, but not good for cats. Definitely would not recommend it.
That sounds like a really bad idea.
Yes. So being an obligate carnivore, they're not really designed to process a lot of plant matter and things like that. So, the higher protein, higher quality foods that you can give them, the better. A lot of the dry foods that we feed our cats today are just loaded with carbs and fillers and just a bunch of junk that they don't need and can't really process. Dry food is also obviously not full of moisture. Cats generally get their hydration from the food that they eat in the wild or a coffee cup on the table. And that is just water.
It's just water.
Yeah. And so, the dry foods just don't give them a lot of hydration and they don't have the ability to kind of flush out the toxins and things like that. So as cats get older, if they eat an unhealthy all dry food diet, a lot of people will free feed, which isn't really great either. They can end up obese. It's a big problem with people and animals, especially cats. But because they're not, flushing out the toxins and things like that, they can actually end up with some kidney issues as they get older as well.
So it's really important then not just to feed them dry food if they require getting their moisture from food.
Yep. Personally, I give my cats a really high quality dry food and wet food. They get both. There's some debate that dry food might be better for their teeth. Depends who you talk to.
Hmm.
But in general, the more wet food that they can eat, it is more natural. You've never really seen a tiger eating a bowl of cereal in the
Yeah.
wild, right? So that's essentially what we feed them with their bowls of kibble.
Oh
So,
God.
the more fresh type, wet, moist meats that we can feed them, the better.
They also need they need like not just muscle meat, right? Like we can't just feed them like chicken out of a can or tuna out of a can.
Correct. Yeah, there's a lot of different essential vitamins and minerals and nutrients that cats need that aren't just in like a piece of ground chicken. Taurine is really important for them. So, a lot of animals do well with like organ meats and things like that. Thankfully, there's a lot of good like raw food companies out there now that are doing, the essentials that the cats need instead of just the ground meat
Yeah.
itself.
Where
So,
do you find taurine? Taurine you can find in organ meats?
um, I would have to double check that, but
Hmm.
yes, I believe so. A lot of the pet food manufacturers are making sure that those levels are in there. In the past, they were not doing that. Dog
Yeah.
foods and cat foods have thankfully come a very long way. There's
Yeah.
a lot more healthy options out there than there used to be.
There's a
So
there's a have you seen the documentary Pet Fooled?
I have not seen it, but I've heard about it. Yes.
Yeah, it's
So
basically all about like the pet food
yeah,
industry. It's crazy.
pretty disgusting
Pretty
whenever you
disgusting.
learn what goes into animals' food.
Yeah, I mean, ultra processed foods are not good for humans, you
Right.
know? And if you think about the fact that most pets are being fed for the entirety of their lives, these like ultra processed foods, you don't
Yeah.
know what the hell is in them.
Yeah.
It's scary.
You don't wanna know what the hell's in them.
You don't want to know. But that's why so many pets get sick. And that's not like a trivial point, you know, like pets are children to the people that own them.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I don't, I'll step off my soapbox, but Um, so I prepared some questions that I want to ask you because you know a lot about cat behavior. And so I'm just going to lay them on you. And then I also took questions from my Instagram audience.
Awesome.
So if you're cool with it, I'm going to ask you some questions from my followers that
Okay.
have sent in questions over my Instagram stories. I polled them for their most burning cat related questions. But I guess first off, so Delilah, as much as I love her, she's a cat. When I kiss her, does she interpret that as a loving gesture?
It kind of depends on the cat, right? A lot of the things that we do to cats aren't really natural to them. You don't really see them kissing each other on the mouths out in the wild. You might see the head bump, things like that. Some cats are a lot more affectionate than others. I have few cats at home, and a couple of them are super affectionate. My Siamese boy, he literally demands that I kiss him. Like if he's sitting on my lap while I'm working, he like does this little head bump, and if I ignore him, he pats me on the cheek, and I literally have to like bend down and like give him kisses on the forehead. So really just kind of depends on the cat. Some cats, yes, they see it as a sign of affection. If it's a strange cat that you don't know and you try to kiss it, you might get smacked. Similar with humans, I guess.
Yeah. I find that Delilah actually like demands kisses, and I kiss her on the lips. Like it's like the most ridiculous thing ever that I do that. But yeah, I just want her to really understand that that she's like my little daughter that that I love unconditionally. Even when she's biting my face and scratching at me and doing all the normal cat things that she does in fact do. So cats roll over, and my cat rolls over. I love to just like bury my face in her belly. Is that a smart thing to do?
Again, actually, the answer to probably a lot of these questions is
Hmm.
going to be it depends on the cat.
Hmm.
Just like humans, they all have very different personalities, different preferences, different things that they're comfortable with. Um, Typically, when a cat shows you its belly, it's kind of a sign of vulnerability. It's showing you that they trust that they trust you, excuse me. A lot of cats, if you go in and try to touch that belly, they're like, no, no,
Hmm.
I said I trusted you, but I was not inviting you to touch my belly. So for a cat to show the belly, that's where all their organs are. It's kind of like if they're fighting, that's part of what can be injured. So, it's them showing that they trust you. Some cats love belly rubs and are totally cool with it and don't mind you burying your face in it or kissing the belly. Other cats will smack you or
Hmm.
bite you or just take off if you try to touch the belly. So,
Got it. So it's like a sign. It's not necessarily an invitation.
correct.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I
So proceed with caution.
proceed with caution. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I'll like pet. There was this thing that I saw once, and it was in like a college level biology class, but it was called, what was it called? The homunculus diagram of how a cat perceives the world. And it was drawn to scale in terms of like a cat's sensory perception of the world. And it's basically like the cat perceives the world primarily like 90% through its head.
Yep.
So if you want to make friends with a cat, and this might be why I think I'm so good with cats, which is even surprising to me, you focus on their head. Like you pet their head between their, eyes and things like that, because that's where they're perceiving the world, like they don't really care about their body being pet and things like
Right.
that, even though we like to pet their bodies.
Yeah. Yeah. And scent is super important for cats. One of the most important senses that they have is scent. The other reason that they kind of lead with the head, they have scent glands in like their forehead and in their cheeks. And part of what helps a cat feel secure in their environment, whatever it is marking. And so the head bumps are a sign of affection. They're kind of marking you with their scent when they rub their cheeks on you, or I don't know if your doors in the apartment have the little kind of like grubby marks right around the head mark. That's kind of like where they like rub their scent to kind of mark their territory.
Wow, on the doors.
Yeah.
Super. I'm going to look for that. That's super interesting. She also has this really interesting behavior that me and my brother share custody of her. She's our joint little child. We rescued her together. And she does this thing whenever she sees us. We call it the yawn and roll. It's like almost like clockwork. If we are out of the house, we come in, or if we've been like out of the living room and she's in the living room, she'll see us, she'll yawn, and then she'll roll over.
Okay.
What does the yawning signify?
So I can't say exactly what the yawning signifies, but the rolling over is kind of her way of greeting you. It sounds like she's okay with you touching her belly. So that could be, kind of her sign of welcoming you home and kind of starting a little welcome home
just like a
activity
welcome
with
home
you,
party.
I guess. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I always thought the yawning is like, you yawn when you're comfortable. Like if you're in a stressed state, if you're in a fight or flight state, you're not going to yawn.
True. Some cats, though, will display displacement behavior. So when they're like in a situation that they're super nervous or uncomfortable, you'll notice them like smacking their lips. Some cats will yawn. Some will like start licking themselves. Just kind of anything that they can kind of do to help make themselves comfortable while kind of avoiding the situation they're in. Not saying that's what she's doing by any means, but
interesting though. So they can, like, if you see excessive grooming, that could be a sign.
Yep, absolutely.
Of what? That's a displacement behavior?
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of cats, that's actually one of the types of cases that I see is over grooming. And basically when cats are super stressed or anxious, grooming is kind of a comforting behavior for them. And so if they're in a stressful environment or there's something that's bothering them, a lot of cats will over groom. Typically it's like their belly area and their back legs if it's kind of stress related. So all kinds of different ways that stress kind of affects and manifests in cats. So
that's so interesting.
They seem like so cool and like independent, but stress actually has a really big impact on their life and health. So
wow. Sometimes I'll notice my cat, she's like doing something. She's like just doing something. And then it'll almost seem like a compulsion. Like she'll start licking herself really quickly and then she'll go back to the task at hand. Is that like, what is that? What's that all about?
It depends what the circumstance is. She could have like hit her paw and been like, "Ugh, that hurt." It could have been like some sort of frustration, like she was chasing a fly and like got agitated for a second. Kind of just depends on exactly the scenario. But I do find that cats are a little bit ADD, like squirrel.
Yes, totally. Is playing with a cat simply annoying them for our entertainment, or are they actually having fun?
So long as you're doing it right, it is good for them. With cats, they are obviously a lot of them are domesticated to a sense. They live in a house with us. They mostly go to the bathroom in a box for us. But they're still very hardwired to be wild animals, right? They're not like dogs. They weren't bred for specific reasons. Most of the cats that are bred are for aesthetics, right? For the way they look, not for a particular job. You don't really see many bomb sniffing cats out there. They just don't care enough to help us with that. They could do it. They just choose not to. But what were we talking about?
Like when you play
squirrel.
with them. Yes.
Playing, yes. So play is so important for cats because now that we've brought them inside, they don't have, not that I'm by any means a proponent for letting your cat just roam around, but life isn't quite as enriching for cats whenever they're inside, depending on what their environment's like. And so the more mentally and physically active and stimulated we can keep a cat, the happier they are, the less likely they are to have any kind of behaviors, whether it's aggression or litter box issues or destructive behaviors. So depending how you're playing with your cat, it's actually a really good thing for them because it helps fulfill those innate needs to hunt and things like that. So, unless you're being really annoying, like hitting them in the head with a feather toy, typically they really enjoy playing. Not all cats are as into it as others, but the majority of them will
Interesting.
really dig a play session.
So I have this like pole that has a rope that has it's like a very common sort of cat toy. And I find that Delilah will often walk over to the toy and then with her paw, like nudge the pole towards me, like
Yeah.
trying to get me to play with her, which I think is a very intelligent thing to do for a
Yes.
cat.
Yeah. The cats are very smart.
Super smart.
Yeah. I don't like to call them manipulative, but generally they know just what buttons to push to get us to do what they want. Typically, they're better at training us than we are at training them.
Is that why like cats are sort of thought to be more embody thought cats are thought more to embody sort of the feminine, energy. They know how to like really get you to do what they want. And
Right.
dogs are more like,
Dogs are more loyal. Well,
yeah.
it depends who we're talking about here, though, right?
Yeah. Who's smarter, dogs or cats?
It depends what scenario we're in, right? Then
Depends.
there's the big debate, like, are cat people smarter or dog people smarter? I think all animal people are smart.
Yeah. I love animal people. I never thought that I'd be a cat person. I mean, I got lucky. So Delilah's my second cat. The first cat that I had was named Harlem. And I named her that because I found her in Harlem in New York City. And she was with me for 5-6 years, and she had like a crazy congenital like heart issue, and she passed away in about 2008. But I've always been lucky. Like the cats that I've found, they've all been super affectionate, super personable, and not the sort of like aloof stereotype that we often sort of paint the cat with.
Right.
And that's why I'm just so happy to have a cat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's always interesting. People come to my house and, they're like, oh, I'm not a cat person. And they come in, and of course, they're greeted by probably more cats than they've ever seen in one place at the same time. But mine are all very social. They're kind of like dogs. They greet you at the door. My Lynx Point Siamese, she jumps up on the cat tree. She has to sniff everybody's forehead. That's how I determine who's cool and who's not, like whether they actually let her sniff the forehead. But people are like, oh, cats are cool. So it just kind of depends on what your experience is. Mine are definitely not under the bed cats. A lot of cats are. Kind of depends on what stimuli they were exposed to during the very early weeks of their life. And unfortunately, even it's just a teeny tiny window between like 3 and 7 or 8 weeks called the sensitive period.
Hmm.
And if they're not like exposed to humans or they had some sort of tragic experience, unfortunately, that tiny window really has a big impact on shaping the rest of their life. So
Wow. So the sensitive period, is that what it's called?
Mhm.
So so basically it's safe to assume that a cat like Delilah or another personable, friendly, human loving cat was exposed to humans during that period.
Generally speaking, yes.
Wow, interesting.
Yep.
Because I've seen certainly some cats that are just really aloof, just
Yep.
aren't personable at all, not friendly.
hmm
I would never want to. I mean, I'm sure that those cats provide value to their owners, but I just, it's like it's not the same kind of,
Right.
you know,
Yeah. And some of it goes
companionship.
back on to the pet parent as well, right? Like, what are they doing to entice their cat to be friendlier? What kind of life are they providing for that cat? Maybe that cat's just bored out of its mind and it's like, whatever, I give up. This place sucks. I'm just going to stay under the bed all
Oh
the
man.
time.
Come on, cats, get with it. One behavior that my cat does a lot, she'll do that like kneading thing. And it's so cute when she does it. No matter where in the room I am, she's always like looking at me when she does it, like straight into the eyes, kneading while staring at me. What is that about?
So, kneading is another one of those comforting behaviors for cats. A lot of cats will do it as they're kind of like tucking in for a nap or going to sleep at night. Um, it kind of translates to like when they're nursing on their mom and they need to help kind of get the milk out. So a lot of it goes back to that just being like a natural cat behavior. Some cats will grow out of it and not need as they get older. Other cats will continue to need forever. Some cats will suckle also while they need. So they do the whole process really.
They make like a mouth
Uh-huh. Yeah. So they
motion.
actually like suckle on a blanket or some will suckle on your arm or your ear.
That's the cutest thing.
Yes, it is. It's cuter when they're young. I have a couple of sucklers at home, and different breeds are more predisposed to be sucklers. And um, one of mine, he drools like a Saint Bernard. It's not really cute. It's cute, but it's gross
Oh
too.
man, that's so
Yeah.
funny. I love when they do that. Is it true that cats only meow with humans?
So most of their meowing is either when they're a baby and they're trying to communicate with their mother, or typically geared towards humans. So there's lots of other vocalizations that cats will do when communicating with other cats if they're angry or whatnot. But typically the just meows are more towards humans or the mom when they're a baby. But
Some my cat has like this cute little meow, and then sometimes she'll like howl
uh
almost. And I notice that she howls usually when it's like when I'm not in the room. So I wonder if that's like her sort of way of like
summoning
reminiscing
you
or
back.
summoning me back or longing, I don't know. Or that's in my own head. Maybe that's wishful thinking.
Well, depending on time of day, like some cats get crazy at night, right? And will do howling. And just by nature, cats are, more active at dusk and dawn. Some cats stay up all night hunting when they're out in the wild. And so there's a lot of clients that I work with whose cats have excessive vocalization overnight. And so,
Hmm. I lock my cat out of my room at night. Is that cruel?
if it works for you and it works for her, then
They're
no.
the thing is they're nocturnal, and my sleep is crucially important to me, and I'm sure to many of my listeners. And as much as I love my cat, I don't really see any reason for her to be like in the bedroom at night, and she pretty consistently wakes me up or
Okay.
like way earlier in the morning than I would otherwise wake up.
Okay.
So I just lock her
Even
out
with the door closed or when you do let her in?
when I do let her in.
Okay.
Sometimes I feel bad. I mean, sometimes I just feel like, oh, she's been so sweet
Eh.
today. I'm gonna let her because she doesn't, she actually doesn't sleep at the foot of the bed. She likes to sleep on the pillow, and not just on any pillow, but the pillow that is meant for my
Of
head
course.
and like right in the middle of that pillow. So it makes it really hard.
Yeah.
Like often she'll because I'm a stomach sleeper, my head is usually to the side. She will come and plop herself down like right on the pillow, right up against my mouth, almost suffocating me so that I can't breathe. So that makes it really hard to sleep. So I tend to lock her out.
Yeah, some cats will scream and cry like outside the door all night if you close them out. I
Oh,
let my cats in because there's way more of them than there are me, so they win most battles in my house. But I find whenever I travel and I don't have a cat sleeping on me, it's actually harder for me to fall asleep.
interesting.
It's like the purrs. I don't know. I find them relaxing.
It's soothing. It's sort of
Yeah.
like it's sort of like white noise,
Yep.
but it's
I have an app now that has cat purrs part of my white noise.
seriously, wow, that's amazing. I
Yeah.
discovered it. So, did you know that there's white noise, but there's also pink noise and brown noise?
No.
So, brown noise is sort of it does the same thing almost that white noise does, but it's much deeper on the audio frequency
Okay.
spectrum. So, it's just like a deeper tone. It's like the sound of it's sort of like the low hum of like an air conditioner, for example.
Okay.
And I found it much more comforting to sleep to
Yeah, that
brown
sounds
noise.
like it. Some of the white noises are just like,
It's
yeah,
very high pitched.
yeah,
It's like nails on a chalkboard almost.
exactly. Yeah.
But brown noise is what's up.
All right. I'll have to look into that.
Um, what is it about? So cats like sometimes they will want like if the door's closed, they'll try to get in, and then you let them in, and as soon as you let them in, they want to get out.
Cats like to be in control. So most cats don't like closed doors. Um, Again, once they get in, they're like, okay, the
Yeah,
door's not closed. I'm cool. They
yeah.
just, they
It-
want to be part of everything that's going on. And
they just
when
have
they're
like
not, they get upset about it.
they have FOMO. They finally freaking get into the room. They realize that
They realize you were just going to the bathroom and it wasn't that exciting. And they're
wasn't
like,
exciting.
whatever.
Yeah, they're like, get me out of here. God, cats are so hard to please. You train cats, right?
A little bit, yes.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Can I train my cat to walk outside with me like a dog? That's like a dream.
You can. I would definitely do it on a harness and leash, of course.
Yes.
But yes, there's lots of cats that are great on harness and leash. Again, depends on the cat. Some cats have zero interest in it. If you have a cat who is interested in outside, um, I am a big proponent for outdoor time for cats, so long as it's safe, secure, and supervised. I have a catio for my house. Um, the cats have 24/7 access. Their litter boxes are out there. They get to go out in the morning whenever they want, really. Just get that fresh air and the sunshine. I just think that that's such a great form of enrichment for cats.
Mm.
And so if you're able to harness and leash train your cat and your cat is interested in going outside, absolutely. There's a big Instagram page called Adventure Cats, and it's literally just cats that like travel the world with their owners on harness and leash. They kayak and camp and climb, and
No way.
pretty phenomenal. Yeah.
Adventure cats?
Uh-huh.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I got to check them out on
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yep.
That's so cool. I really want to do that because that's the one thing. That's the one thing that I feel like I miss out on by having a cat, not a dog. I'd like to walk around town,
You could get a stroller.
a
That
cat
would
stroller,
draw attention.
the right kind of attention.
It depends what kind of attention you're looking for, I guess.
I mean, the thing is, Delilah's a lover and people love her. And so I just feel like being able to walk her outside would be like the best thing ever. But if
Does
it's
she
not,
like to go outside?
she likes to be, I have like a little sort of like outdoor patio that she goes, do you call it a catio? Is that what?
Yeah, that's what I call it if it's like an enclosed.
That's kind of,
I have a patio and a catio.
Wow.
But
Your cats are lucky. Yeah, I have like this little outdoor space. She goes out there, she hangs out, she rolls over, she eats grass for some reason. There's like some grass out there. I don't know if that's good for her.
A lot of cats will eat grass to actually help them throw up.
Why do they do that?
If they have like a hairball or something, if they're nauseous. Yeah, usually when they eat the grass, it's actually to help them vomit.
Wow.
Yep.
So interesting. Do our cats really like us or do they merely tolerate us?
Again, depends on the cat.
Hmm.
But I would say in general, typically they like us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some just tolerate us. But it kind of depends on the pet parent we are, right? Like I feel that my cats like me. They greet me at the door when I get home, and it sounds like Delilah likes you. She rolls over, shows you the belly, gives you a little yawn.
Hmm.
I think in general, yes, cats like us. They do typically, if there's more than one person in the household, will have a favorite. Typically whoever cares for them the most. So whoever's feeding them, whoever's taking care of their litter box, playing with them, they can form different, bonds with different people in the house.
Interesting. I definitely feel that Delilah has a solid bond with me and my brother. Anybody listening who wants to actually see Delilah can go to my Instagram page. I have a whole highlight reel with videos of her climbing all over me and face bumping me. It's the cutest. She's so cute. So I polled my Instagram audience for questions, as I mentioned, and I got some really good questions. So I'm going to throw a few of these at you.
All right.
Some of them were pretty funny. Like the Ben Melton asked, "What are cats?" I don't know if we have to answer that.
They're magical creatures.
They're magical creatures. And then Dor X Ekis asked, "How many carbs are in a cat?"
That I don't know. You might know the answer better than
I don't know.
Hopefully not too many, because they shouldn't be eating a lot of them.
Yeah. I would imagine that there are not many carbs in a cat. So yeah, but don't eat cats.
Yeah, please don't do that.
Please don't eat cats. So Taryn Southern asked, "Are cat allergies mainly caused by the dander in their hair? How to best be rid of cat allergies?"
So, so cat allergies do mostly come from their dander. Some people think that hairless cats are hypoallergenic. There's actually no such thing, unfortunately, as a hypoallergenic cat. There are a couple of breeds that are supposedly slightly less allergenic, but the allergens can actually come from their saliva as well. So there's some good over-the-counter allergy medicines that work well for certain people. It just depends on what your body reacts to. There's actually a new food out that is supposed you feed it to the cat, and it's supposed to actually help kind of neutralize the allergens. I haven't personally tried it, thankfully. I'm not allergic to cats because That would be a bad line of work that I was in.
Yeah.
But that's supposed to help. And then there's another product out there called Allerpet C for cat. And it's basically a solution that you like put on a cloth or a glove and just kind of like wipe the cat down a couple times a week. And that's supposed to help a lot. We've had at the rescue, it's actually helped save a couple of adoptions. So
Wow, that's
yeah.
super interesting.
Yeah. And keeping clean not air fresheners, air purifiers can be helpful. Um, hardwood floors, so that the dander and stuff isn't getting stuck in the carpets and things like that.
Very interesting. I kind of unrelated, but we were in a pinch and we needed to buy some cat litter for my cat because she spent the night at my brother's house, and the only cat litter that we could find was at a drugstore. And it was, I just think this is important to mention on the podcast because we probably have a lot of cat owners and whatever listening to this. The only cat litter that was available was like a deeply fragranced cat litter. And, a year ago, 2 years ago, I probably wouldn't have thought much of it, but it actually got me thinking about how bad that is for not just the cat. I mean, it's definitely got to be bad for the cat, but also the people with whom the cat lives. I mean, the cat is getting these phthalates, these endocrine disrupting compounds on their paws,
Mhm.
on their fur, licking it.
Yep. Yeah, I find most of the products, to be honest, that are designed for animals, they're really not designed for animals or even really with the animal in mind. They're designed for us. Like nobody wants to look at a litter box. Nobody wants to smell a litter box. So they put all these fragrances in there and put a litter box and a planter, and the cat has to climb through a hole this big. And it's good for me because I get to go in and, teach them about litter box setups. But yeah, most products aren't really designed for the animals. My favorite litter is actually it's like an all natural, unscented clumping litter. It's made out of grass seed. I'm not a big fan of the clay litters. Yeah, just the clay, the dust.
Yeah.
So.
Can you mention the brand?
So there's actually a few that are similar. There's Smart Cat, was the original brand. I do Chewy a lot. Their brand is Frisco. And it's just a grass seed litter. And then I think is it Petco has like a So Fresh
Hmm.
brand of it, but it's just an all natural. It's hands down my favorite litter. And with 9 cats,
Yeah.
it's important to have a good litter.
A good litter, but you want to go for unscented.
Yep.
That's super, super important.
Yeah. And while we're on the topic, litter boxes, the more comfortable you can make your litter box for your cat, the more likely they are to use it. So most of the litter boxes are too small. You want your cat to be able to turn around. They don't need to play Twister to go to the bathroom. Like the ones that they have to like jump in the top and stick their head out a hole to like go to the bathroom, like can't be comfortable.
Yeah. Wow. I'm so glad that you brought that up. But yeah, that's an important thing. Stay away from those fragrances.
Yeah.
Those fragranced cat litters.
Cats don't like the smell either. Going back to their scent being so important, it's just super overwhelming.
I'm
for cats.
sure.
Yeah.
Is there a way to? I mean, some cats are smelly. I actually find, and this is not just because I love her and I'm impervious, but she actually like the bathroom. She doesn't smell.
Yeah.
Like her litter box doesn't smell.
Yeah.
Is that a dietary thing or is that just an individual?
Yep, it can definitely be dietary. The lesser quality foods, obviously garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
The higher quality foods, there's usually a lot less output because the body's actually using most of what
Goes
it's
in.
putting in there. So, but yeah, quality of stool, odors, all of that is better with the higher quality food for sure. As far as urine goes, I mean, it depends on how hydrated they are. When they were neutered in life, males can tend to be a little bit more odorous in the urine department than females. But as far as the other side of things goes, yes, food can definitely help with those stinky stools.
Yeah. No, that's good to know. That's super important because I think a lot of people would be deterred from owning a cat because of that.
Yeah.
Because of that stereotype that cats are smelly. My cat doesn't smell at all. Like you don't know that I have a cat walking in.
Nope.
I mean,
even me with 9 cats, people walk in and they're like, "Whoa, this is not what I was expecting."
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so important. I feed my cat, and I've no affiliation with this company whatsoever, but I've found that she enjoys the food and it keeps her nice and like she's a healthy weight, but she's not in any way overweight, Origins,
Okay.
6 fish.
Okay.
It's like 90% protein, wild fish, a bunch of different fish. And it's only 10% like other stuff.
Yep.
And it's taurine enriched and
Yep. Yep.
and I believe, raw as well.
Okay.
Okay, so next question from the Instagram audience. We already talked about headbutting. My best friend _EM asked, why does my cat headbutt me? You said that it was to kind of mark.
Yeah, kind of like an affectionate behavior, as well as kind of marking the scent, like you're mine.
Yeah, I love that. I love
In a
when
good way. If you're going to be marked by a cat, that's how you want to be marked, not sprayed.
Right. So in the mornings, my cat is super affectionate. It's like she just endless head bumps. Like she'll just like, she'll get up onto the table where I'm working and she'll just like bump into my face over and over and over again with force.
Right? Yeah.
It's so cute. Courtney Blair W asked, what more can I do to help my indoor cat feel free? I love this question.
Yeah, I love that question as well. We kind of touched on it before, the more mentally and physically active and stimulated you can keep your cat, the happier they will be, the happier you will be because they won't have behavior issues. So, my suggestion is give them as many play toys as you can. A lot of indoor cats will get bored with toys fairly quickly. Going back to them being wild, like they killed that fake dead mouse like 100 times this week. They're like, it's dead. Like I'm over it. I don't want to play with it anymore. So I try to do a rotation like every couple of weeks just to keep things fresh. If the cat likes catnip, there's some really good like catnip sprays that you can put on the toys that can help entice them to play. Another thing that's really important for cats is vertical space. So they're one of the few animals that are both predator and prey. And so height kind of makes most cats feel more secure in their territory. In the wild, that helps them hunt, but it also prevents them from being hunted. So vertical space is really great. Obviously, make sure they have, scratching posts and so forth so they don't scratch your furniture. But really just kind of, make your house cat friendly. Food puzzles are a really excellent way to give them some more mental stimulation. In the wild, most of a cat's life revolves around food, right? They're hunting it all day. They're catching it. They're killing it. They're eating it. They're taking a little snooze and then they're doing it all over again. And so now we bring them inside. We put their food in a bowl and they're like, all right, cool. There's my lunch. I didn't have to do anything for it. Some cats are super excited about that. Like my orange cat, he wouldn't really do well if he had to hunt for his own food. He likes just having it in a bowl. But most cats, when given the opportunity to forage and work for their food versus just eating it out of a bowl, would actually choose to work for their food as opposed to just snacking in the little bowl of cereal that they got.
So give me like a real world example. How can I create like a food game for Delilah?
So there's lots of ones that you can buy online, but to do just like a DIY one, I will sometimes just tape like the cardboard boxes that the cat food comes in, like tape 2 of them together so it's kind of like a box and cut holes in it. You can put food in it, you can put toys in it. Some cats will do both. But egg cartons, ice cube trays. The only problem with those is they're pretty lightweight and cats are smart and they're like, okay, I just have to hit this once and all the food falls on the floor. So just if you're going to do the ice cube tray or the egg carton, just make sure you like affix it to something so it's not as easy for them to tip.
So you would take an egg carton, like one of those paper egg cartons, put the food in the carton and then close it and then let them figure out how to open it?
You can actually just leave the lid open. Just so they have to like use their.
Got it.
Do you like all these like cat things I'm doing over here? Like,
yeah. No, it makes sense though. It makes sense because we don't think about this. Like I just want to have like my food on my plate.
Right. I don't want to have to work for it. I just want somebody to put it in front of me.
Exactly. That's so cool. Okay, so I'm gonna start giving her food in an egg carton.
And you can even do kind of like hide treats around the house so that they feel like they're hunting, especially at night. If she wakes you up at night, give her stuff to do to keep her busy overnight.
Wow. Why do cats seemingly enter like ludicrous mode at night?
Just naturally they are more active at dusk and dawn. Like in the wild, that's kind of when they do their hunting. And so
is that also when they're hunted?
Probably, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So interesting. Well, that's why they're like
kind of like on edge, yeah.
Yeah, like darting around and
cats kind of always have one eye open, right?
Yeah. So interesting.
Can't really sneak up on a cat.
Oh my God, they're such complex, majestic creatures.
They really are.
They really are.
Yeah.
They're amazing. Veronica_Smith_rocks. Love the confidence in that username, Veronica. Asked, how do I pick out an affectionate, cuddly cat?
All right. So, here's my shameless plug for Cat Cafe Lounge. I do a lot of volunteer work there. If this Veronica happens to be in Los Angeles, we're in West LA. We are a cat cafe. We're all rescue cats. Um, it's always hard to pick out a cat when they're not in a calm environment, right? And so at the shelters, you never really know what that cat's true personality is like. It's scary. There's all these sights and sounds and people coming and going and different smells. And so any animal really, when they're in that shelter environment, is kind of like scared and shut down and not showing their true colors. And so we work with local rescue groups and we have this just beautiful space. It's completely enriched for cats. There's floor to ceiling bridges and windows. And I think we're launching our catio, which is amazing, Labor Day weekend. And so the cats get to come there and it's kind of like their transitional housing. So they come out of a scary shelter or whatever their street rescue environment was, and they come into this place. It's just totally safe, all decked out for cats, as much enrichment as they could possibly want. Um, and the cats just kind of blossom into like their true personality. So you can go to a place like that and actually sit down for, 45 minutes to an hour, get to know the cat, spend time with it, really see what its personality is like, instead of just going to, not that you should not go to the shelter. Please always adopt from your shelter or local rescue group. But to really see the personality, there's cat cafes out there now, which has been a really awesome way to get cats adopted.
So cool. And you could also foster.
Yes. Yep.
I mean, actually, when I first got Delilah, the intent was to foster her to see if she was an affectionate, cuddly cat.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of the only cat that I would really want.
Mm-hmm.
And we just fell completely in love with her.
Yeah. I only meant to have 3 cats. So yeah, just be prepared when you foster. You're probably going to keep it.
It's so funny. Drew Takati, I don't know how to pronounce his username, but Drew Kate, I don't know, asked, why do cats bring dead mice or birds home?
So it could be a couple of things. Cats are opportunistic hunters. And so when the opportunity for the cat to catch something presents itself, the cat will catch it, even though it's maybe not necessarily hungry. So that's why a lot of people find cats to be a destructive species, unfortunately. I say they're just hungry and doing their job. But it can also be kind of like a gift that they're bringing to their parents. So I prefer the not real animal gifts. But yeah.
I've often internally had this debate. You know how, like, if you own a snake, you go to the store and you buy a mouse to feed the snake? Would it be the ultimate gesture of love for my cat if I go to one of those stores and I buy a little mouse to let free in my house to then allow Delilah to slaughter?
I am not into that kind of stuff. People ask that. And it really depends on the cats. Like, I honestly think if I put a mouse in my house, like, my cats would befriend it. Like, a squirrel came into my catio. He chewed a hole and was in the catio with my cats. And my cats literally looked at him like, hey, dude, what's up? And I'm like, seriously? I don't want you to hurt the guy, but like, tell him to stop chewing holes in the catio. Like, I don't need to be chasing a squirrel like through my house if he gets in the cat door.
It's so funny. Yeah.
So my recommendation would be no.
Okay.
Whether or not that's the right or wrong answer, I'll let you decide that yourself. But don't tell me if you decide to go forward with it.
I mean, mostly I would just be afraid of the bloodbath. If Delilah actually was into the, mauling it, the mouse, the cleanup I think would be pretty
cats
tricky.
Are kind of gnarly hunters.
I would never do that. For anybody wondering. Julie Hollingsworth asked, why do cats love to knock things off tables and counters? I can't tell you how many times my AirPods have been sitting on like my table and Delilah just like leaps up, plays hockey with it until it falls on the floor. And of course the case opens up, the iPods, the AirPods, like, fly out in every which way. Why do they do that?
So a couple of different reasons. One, going back to cats know exactly what buttons to push. It gets our attention, right? They knock something off the counter. We pay attention to them. Even if we're like, oh, what are you doing? They're like, I got your attention. So cats, unless it's super negative, which I would not recommend, attention is attention to a cat, right? Whether it's you telling them they're a knucklehead for knocking your stuff on the floor or you're playing with them, they're like, yeah, I got it. But also just out of boredom, it's an activity, keeps them busy. They're always down to have some fun. So if there's something there that looks enticing to knock on the floor, they'll knock it on the floor. So um, again, the more stuff you can have out that's appropriate for your cat to play with, the better. That way they kind of leave your stuff alone.
I also feel like in a way they're like investigating whatever it
Mhm.
is that they're
Yep.
playing with. They're trying to figure out if it's alive, if it's,
Yep. Absolutely. Yep.
cats are like little investigators.
They are. Yes. They like to do lots of exploring. A
They
lot
do.
of cats will like chew on random things too, just to have the feel and texture.
Oh man, this is such a good question. So A Luckus or A Luck US asked, why do cats quickly change their mood from snuggling to attack?
So I don't know the scientific reason behind it, but all cats get overstimulated. It just kind of depends on what their timer is, right? Are you able to pet them exactly 2.743 times before they freak out, or do they have a really long timer and you can pet them for 20 minutes? I've heard that cats have, more senses in their fur. It kind of gets them on like sensory overload whenever they're petted too much or petted in the wrong place. Some cats don't like to be petted like by their butt. Some cats love my cat. We play the bum drums. He loves like to be like smacked on his butt. It's really weird, but a lot of cats love it. A lot of cats will try to kill you if you do it. Um, but yeah, just kind of personal preference to how they like to be touched and how long.
But how much of that attacking is like inconvenient to us because we don't have fur to protect us from their nails and their teeth?
Right.
Like, does that continue to be a playful gesture? Like, would they bite and claw at their sister, their brothers, their
Mhm.
sisters, like
Yep.
their
Yep.
companions?
Yep. Absolutely. So they get agitated. I foster a lot and I'll have kittens around, and my older cats are great with the kittens, but eventually they're like, all right, you are an annoying little thing. Like, stop touching my tail. And they'll just
Hmm.
smack the microphone. And they'll just like bop them on the head or like hiss or whatever. So, cats who grow up with more than one cat, they are able to teach each other manners because they can understand more like, okay, well, you just bit me, that hurts. Whereas it's harder for us to communicate, like, ow, you bit me, you shouldn't do that. Um, so they will absolutely bite or swat at another animal as well.
Yeah, so interesting. Just tilt the mic a little bit more so that it's like, yeah, perfect. Um,
Perfect. I see what you did there.
Perfect. See what I did there? Max with the puns. We don't have that much time left, but just a few more questions, and then we'll let you go. I want to be respectful of your time, and I also want to give listeners a way to get in touch with you if they've got follow up questions. You also are LA based, and you see clients regularly. So if
Yep.
anybody's in LA and they want to,
Delilah just went shooting down the hall.
did she?
Yeah.
Delilah, come back, join us. So ALB 500 asked, why all the sitting in boxes? It's genius. I love it. But why?
So, cats, again, like to feel secure. And so boxes are, there she goes again, are kind of like these tight little cubbies that like they're essentially protected from all sides, less likely to be ambushed. So it's just kind of a sense of safety and security for them. Again, something to do. Cats like to always be exploring their environment and entertaining. When I get my food deliveries, I like to like put out like one of the trays that the canned food comes in, and within like 3 seconds, there's a cat in it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they're also like kind of always like you said, they sleep with one eye open. They're always like kind of on the defense.
Yeah.
Is that why cats like to hang out under tables? Sometimes maybe they're not feeling as confident or
Yeah. So cats are some cats like to be up high and they feel more safe. Some cats prefer to be um, down low and kind of hidden away to feel safe. Um, Again, just depends on the cat. Some cats equally like to be up high and out of harm's way, and some like to be underneath beds and little cubbies and tables and things like that. But um, uh, typically, they will rest a little bit better if they're, either high up or kind of hidden and tucked away.
what can you tell me about cats, like the way that their vision system works?
So it's different than ours. They are. obviously able to see much better in dark and dusk than we are. But they actually see less colors than we do. So not all colors of the spectrum are quite as visible to cats. Um, and I might be saying this backwards, but I think they're able to see like greens and blues better than like reds and oranges and
Hmm,
yellows. So
interesting.
yeah.
They're also, correct me if I'm wrong, I read once that they are farsighted.
So they definitely do see differently. Like if you look in the like scientific textbooks, I don't know how they decide how a cat sees, but yeah, it's almost like blurry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I find sometimes that Delilah doesn't see as well something that's like right
Yep.
up close,
Mhm.
like to her face. You know, if I've got like food and I'm putting it right in
Yeah.
front of her face, it's not as easy for her to see that
Right.
as if it's like a few feet out,
Yep.
you know?
Yeah, it's especially apparent with my Siamese boy. He's not really cross-eyed, but if he's tired or he's looking at something too close up, you can definitely tell that he's like trying to look at it and he totally goes cross-eyed with his cute little blue eyes.
Wow. I wonder, I mean, from an evolutionary standpoint, that's probably a trait that like other animals that are primarily hunters
Yeah.
have, so that they can like see their prey or they can see what's coming after them.
Yep, exactly. And then they have like weird things like have you ever seen the little like fur that's or whisker that's like in the back of their leg?
Yeah, I recently found out that cats have whiskers on their feet,
Yeah,
on
so
their
it's
legs.
basically to like help them feel if the prey is trying to squirm away.
Seriously?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah, they have all kinds of interesting things. Like they have a floating clavicle so that they can like really like flatten themselves out to get under things.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Is that how they're able to squeeze through
Uh-huh.
seemingly impossibly small
Yeah.
spaces? Wow. What
Yeah.
else? What else blows your mind about
Oh
the
gosh, I
anatomy of
don't
the
have you
cat?
ever noticed on their teeth, like on their really pointy tooth, I should
The
know.
sharp one,
Like
the
yeah, like
fang?
is it the
Yeah.
canine? Even though it's on a cat, we'll call it the feline. There's actually like a line. It's like for the blood.
No way.
Uh-huh.
They've got a blood supply in their teeth.
No, it's like for when they're eating.
They can suck blood.
Well, I don't know if they can suck it, but it kind of like yeah, it's interesting.
It's just a channel for
Mhm.
blood.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Mhm.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and their little tiny front teeth are like for, you know, cleaning the bones.
They're so cute.
Yeah,
Those little front teeth on
aren't they?
Delilah. I need to learn to brush her teeth. Is that important? Is that an
It
important
is,
aspect
yes.
of cat ownership?
Yep. Vet visits, dental visits. Cats, again, going back to being both predator and prey, they're very good at hiding their health issues. And unfortunately, a lot of times they hide their issues so long that by the time we take them to the vet, things are progressed a lot further than they would be if we were, say, taking them for their physical every year like we should be.
Hmm.
I definitely am a big proponent for, annual checkups for your cat, just like you do for yourself, hopefully. There's a lot of home vets that will come to your house now because obviously part of the reason people don't take their cat to the vet is because the cat doesn't like to travel. It's stressful for everybody. But the healthier and more preventative maintenance you can do with your cat up front, the longer, healthier they'll be down the road. So yeah, vet visits are very important. Dental health is super important. I want to say it's by the time they're like 3 or 4, like most cats have some form of dental disease. And I'm sure it's similar with humans. Most of my health stuff I know about animals and not humans, but dental disease can actually lead to like comorbidities and issues with other bodily functions. So yeah, having their teeth cleaned is pretty important. So
Yeah, I was going to take Delilah in to get a cleaning where they put the cat under
hmm
and
yep.
then but then the risk like reward thing kind of, you know, like I wasn't sure whether or not the benefits of that once a year cleaning was going to be worth the risk of putting them under
And so
anesthesia.
not all cats need the cleaning once a year. Your vet can kind of guide you through that. Um, I have a couple cats with terrible teeth. They get their teeth cleaned every year. I have a couple that like need their teeth cleaned every 5 years. So just kind of stay up on it. But the problem with the non-anesthesia dentistry for cats is that like it's a super stressful experience. Can you imagine like holding Delilah down and trying to like scrape her teeth? Like I just can't imagine that's good for like the person doing it or for the cat. And going back to what we talked about with stress manifesting in cats. Like if they're super stressed out, now they can end up with urinary crystals or UTIs or upper respiratory infections. So my personal opinion is that it's definitely worth the risk of anesthesia. Obviously, your vet will do all the pre-blood work and all of that to make sure it's healthy for them. But the other thing with a non-anesthesia dental is they can't really get up under the gum lines, and that's really where, a lot of the disease lies. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Very, very, very convincing argument. I mean, I care about her. I care about her, which
Yeah.
means that I care about her teeth.
Yeah. I'm like, my cats, I think, would probably rather be knocked out than be awake through all of that. I imagine they would thank me for it.
Yeah.
Not that they would ever thank me for anything, but if they did.
If they could. Yeah. Yeah. Well, this was super fun. Thank you so much for coming out.
Yeah, absolutely.
This was like really fun and I learned a lot. And I'm sure my listeners are going to appreciate this.
Isn't it crazy how fast talking about cats goes?
I mean, I could keep going for another hour. I mean, but I feel like I'm just one of those like annoying and embarrassing parents, where I just like, all I want to do
Helicopter dad.
is helicopter dad. What is that? It's like just a dad.
Yeah,
who
just like overbearing, like into everything kind of.
That's pretty much me with Delilah. Yeah.
Yep.
She's like, I mean, again, she's like my little daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you for coming out.
Yeah.
I've got just one last question for you that sort of gets asked to everybody on the show. But before we get to that, how can listeners find you on the internet?
Yeah. So my consulting business is called The Cat Counselor. I am local to Los Angeles. So the website's just thecatcounselor.com. At The Cat Counselor on Instagram. And same thing on Facebook. So pretty easy. Email address is just info@thecatcounselor.com. And my name is Cristin.
And people with like cat behavior questions,
Yep.
treat behavior issues and things like that can hit you up. And
Yep. Yeah, I generally do in-home visits. Always best to assess the whole environment and situation.
Yeah.
Obviously, in this virtual world, I've been doing a lot of virtual things, but I still prefer to do in person just because there's so many things that you wouldn't necessarily pick up on in the virtual world. But yeah, anything from litter box issues to aggression, introductions, getting people ready for a new baby, even if you're not having behavior issues. I know one of the listeners asked how they can make their cat happier. So pretty much any gamut of behavior issues, just make sure if you notice any behavior issues that you first take your cat to the vet, because a lot of the behavior changes are sparked by health changes.
super interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, I did. I remember learning that with my first cat, Harlem, that cats, when they're sick, they don't really show it.
Right.
They could be
Yep.
dealing with something you would never know.
Yep.
So it's important
Mhm.
for those like regular, like an annual
Yep.
every 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
Super interesting. Good to know. Uh, I think one of the I hope that in the future we can develop a technology that allows us to read a cat's or our pet's minds
Wouldn't that be fascinating?
or like allow them to speak,
Right.
you know?
I don't know if I'd want to know all the things that they were saying though.
Yeah. And imagine all the things that they see.
Right.
Oh man. But yeah, that would be amazing. I would love to know what Delilah's thinking,
I spend way too much of my life pretending I know what they're thinking or saying, but
They are mysterious, they're amazing creatures. Are there any good like books or documentaries that you would recommend?
so there's a really cute one. Was this? It's called like The Lion in the Living Room. It was really good.
It's on Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen
Yeah,
it.
that was cool. And then there's actually quite a few good like books out there now about just kind of catifying your life. I'm sure everybody knows Jackson Galaxy and
No,
Kid Benjamin. He's my cat from Hell guy.
what's that?
Uh, he's a cat behaviorist. He had a show on Animal Planet.
Wow.
So like he did this, on TV. But he wrote a book with Kate Benjamin, and I think it's called like Catification or something like that. But it's really good. Just kind of shows you how to deck out your house and make it more cat friendly.
Cat friendly.
Yeah.
Love that. We'll check it out. Cool. Well, the last question that gets asked everybody on this show, Cristin, what does it mean to you to live a genius life? Take it wherever you'd like.
Oh, to live a genius life. Oh. Well, for me, it's just kind of making sure I'm making a positive impact, and no matter what I do, whether it's my full-time job or working with cats or just educating people on cats, kind of reducing my footprint on this planet. We're only here once, and so kind of try to pull it all together and just be the best that we can be and be kind to all of those around us, whether they're humans or animals.
Love that. Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was awesome. To all you guys out there in podcast land, thank you so much for tuning in. Share this episode of the show. If you learned something, share it with your favorite cat lover out there. I would appreciate that. So would Cristin. And text me to let me know what you thought of the show. My number is 310-299-9401. And I will catch you on the next episode. Peace.